Care must be taken to add and subtract surface area symmetrically to keep all these ups and downs in a perfectly straight down fall. Also keep in mind that as more effort is put into adjusting adjustable angles, so must more effort be put into not adjusting the non-adjustable angles. Forward and backward are controlled by adjusting the chest and knee angles. But whereas fall rate control requires both angles to flatten or sharpen simultaneously, forward and back requires one angle to flatten while the other sharpens. For forward movement, the chest's neutral angle is sharpened while the knee's neutral angle is stretched. This subtracts surface area from the upper body while adding it to the lower body, causing the upper body to fall just slightly faster and therefore slightly lower, which sends more air out the back and results in a slow translation forward. For backward movement, the chest is flattened while the knees are tucked back. This causes the body to pitch head up, which sends more air out the front, resulting in a slow backslide. In either case, the overall addition of surface area at one end must equal the overall subtraction at the other for the movement to stay level with a person remaining in neutral. In dive 5, your instructor again flies in the neutral position as a point of reference while you practice backing off and moving in. Take care not to focus on these new skills to the exclusion of those already developed. Flying in the box and staying level are still required at all times. To compensate, everyone must continually make fall rate adjustments, always with their lower backs, and often with their chests and knees while working on other maneuvers. In dive 6, your instructor adds slight fall rate problems to the forward-backward drill. To move up while going forward, the added surface area of your shins and feet must exceed that taken away from your chest. Fall rate and forward-backward techniques are likewise combined to move down while going forward, or to move up or down while going back. An example of such a task would be taking grips, which is the goal of Dive 7, where your instructor continues to present fall rate problems while you become responsible on each forward move for taking grips. Above all else, it's important at this stage to resist the temptation to reach in, also controlled by coordinated adjusting of the chest and knee angles. And, like forward and reverse, side to side requires some of these angles to be flattened while others are simultaneously sharpened. However, where forward-backward is regulated by the relationship between the upper and lower halves of the body, side slides are regulated by the relationship between the left and right halves of the body. To slide to the left side of the chest is tucked back along with the left knee, while the right side of the chest and the right knee's angles are flattened. This causes the left side of the body to fall slightly lower, which sends more air out the right side and results in a slow translation to the left. To slide to the right side is tucked back while the left side is flattened. In Dive 8, your instructor again flies neutral as a point of reference while you practice sliding from side to side. Remember again the importance of building skills on top of each other. Body position, levels, and distance from your instructor must all be maintained while sliding from side to side. In Dive 9, your instructor adds fall rate problems to the exercise. In Dive 10, you again become responsible for grips. The case with all the techniques in the program, staying in the box body position is priority 1 when it comes to heading control. A slight bend of the waist in the direction of the desired rotation is the only movement necessary for a slow, level turn in place. The second and far more noticeable difference in relative work turns is the head movement involved. Virtually everyone is initially trained to look in the direction of their first free fall turns. Looking in the direction of a turn is a very natural thing to do. We do it driving our cars and even while walking. And in free fall, a turn of the head will tend to add to the bend in the waist and thus speed the rotation. But good relative work doesn't require fast turns. What it does require is that we see each other. And that's why relative work turns are often done with the head looking opposite the direction of rotation. In Dive 11, you and your instructor practice short turns with head turns for eye contact. Notice how some of the head's turning is in the direction of the turn and some isn't, but at no time is eye contact lost. In Dive 12, your instructor adds fall rate problems to the exercise. And in Dive 13, you again become responsible for grips. Remember, slow rotations with good form will result in more hookups than faster ones that sacrifice precision. These drills also require fall rate, forward, backward, and side-to-side control as turns are made past the center point of the dive. Another drill that integrates all the control movements is Dive 14, where you circle your instructor taking stair-step grips. Remember, more hookups will result from slow, close-in circling than from faster movement in a wider orbit. Your never reach discipline is put to the test again in Dive 15, our final two-way drill, where you again circle, this time taking star, side body, and caterpillar grips. The goal here, as in all the dives in the program, is to move your boxman body position around the sky without ever moving out of the position itself, blow up from the ground. By flying in a belly-to-the-wind attitude, you can achieve a measure of control over the speed and path of your free fall, making relative work possible. So far, we've shown you the basic belly-to-the-wind techniques for maneuvering in various directions relative to another jumper. On exit, however, the direction of the relative wind blows from in front of the aircraft rather than up from the ground. Control is still achieved with the same techniques and in the same belly-to-the-wind attitude, but here, belly-to-the-wind is no longer synonymous with belly-to-earth. Immediately out the door, a novice's desire to orient himself parallel to the ground can cause him to struggle to an attitude completely off the relative wind and therefore completely unstable, while an expert sees little or no difference between falling over the ground and falling toward it. Keeping the wind against the chest is all that matters. Here are a few tips for achieving controlled exits. First, resist the tendency to bunch up outside the door. Spread out comfortably into more of a box position, with your torso facing into the wind to minimize the transition required later. Likewise, the head and eyes should be turned to each other before the count begins. The count itself should be loud, rhythmic, and supplemented by a smooth rocking motion to keep everyone in sync. Immediately off the aircraft, remember to ignore the horizon and concentrate on presenting your torso to the wind. The transition to falling toward the ground will take care of itself by simply focusing on flying flat relative to the others.